Welcome to another episode of Life and Whiskey. As always, I'm Jordan, and today we are going to look at Cooper's Craft Bourbon. It is a Brown-Forman / Woodford Reserve product. It is 100 proof, 50% ABV. Let's see, what do we need to know about this? Cooper's Craft Barrel Reserve, Cooper's Craft, blah, blah, blah. Aged in Kentucky, yada yada. We don't care about that. Oak barrel, responsible, blah blah blah. Looking for an age statement, folks. Not finding one. So, I do not see one on here. I might be overlooking it, but as of right now, I do not see one. So, we're going to call this an NAS, a non-age statement whiskey. Picked this up in Billings, Montana for $31.75. Cannot find this locally anywhere. And before we get into this whiskey, this will be the last whiskey for this batch shoot that I'm doing. And as I alluded to in the last video, I'm going to be headed out tomorrow to go elk hunting. So, as a little teaser, let me get the last 6 whiskeys out. I'm going to put them up here that are going to be coming up. They're mostly scotches, a couple of bourbons, one odd thing. Actually, no, that's not even true. I got one bourbon, one wheat whiskey, and one kind of compilation of stuff. I'm going to quickly give you a rundown of what they are as something to look forward to in videos to come, and then we'll get into this Cooper's Craft and we'll talk about that. Again, Cooper's Craft, $31.75. I will reiterate that when we come back to that. But first, the first thing we will do, I have shown this in a previous video. This is Dry Fly Wheat Whiskey, port barrel finish. It is finished in a huckleberry port barrel, aged 3 years. Phenomenal whiskey. We'll definitely take a look at that one. This kind of chaps my ass, but kind of not. George Remus Repeal Batch. Now, I was looking for Repeal Batch 5, and my stupidity led me to buy this without looking at the vintage. So this is Repeal Batch number 2, is that correct? Which is the 2018 medley. I'm looking for the 2021 medley. But nonetheless, this is 100 and some. I think I paid $103 for this bottle. So expensive, and was an expensive, like, oh my gosh, that's not what I wanted. Mistake. However, still extremely good. We'll get into that one. Next, we have High West Campfire. This is a blend of their rye whiskey, so straight rye whiskey, straight bourbon whiskey, and blended malt scotch. Has a little hint of smoke in there as well from that scotch. Excellent whiskey. We will be getting into that one. Next, we have Highland Park Cast Strength. This is, if you're going to get a Highland Park, a little bit spendy, but if you're into malt, this has a high malt flavor to it. Definitely something to check out. So Highland Park Cast Strength, we'll be getting into that one. Next, as I alluded to in the last one, Laphroaig Lore. If you're gonna get a Laphroaig and you are willing to shell out some money, this is the one you want. I've seen it for like $145, $150. I was able to pick this up for $82. Worth every cent. This might be the best Laphroaig expression I've ever had. In fact, I'm going back and buying out the 3 or 4 bottles they had on the shelf at that $82 price because my wife is in love with that stuff, as am I. And we're going to have some around. So there you go. And finally, the Coup de Grace. I wish I had the box for this, but they didn't have it on display. This is the most expensive bottle of whiskey I own to date. We paid $160 for this. The Ardbeg, it has a pirate on there. This is an honorary bottle, and man, it is amazing stuff. So, and it's not amazing just because we paid $160 for it. It's amazing because, as I've found, our bag has some great expressions. This is like the fourth expression I think we have, and really looking forward to getting into this. So we have a couple Islas, we have bourbon, we have wheat, we have a thing. Let's rearrange these into how I'm probably going to end up reviewing these, so that we got something going on here, and the old George Remus up front. So there you go. Those are videos that you can look forward to seeing coming up. Getting back into it though, we have the Cooper's Craft Bourbon, 100 proof, $31.75 in Billings, Montana. It is a Brown-Forman Woodford Reserve product. Let's get in here and see what we find. All right, on the nose. For 100 proof, it's fairly subdued in the glass. I am actually struggling to pick out much of anything. There's not even ethanol really pouring out of this. There's almost a slight banana. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to evaporate some of this. See if I can't get something out of it. Boy, even doing this, I'm not getting much out of this. Okay, slightly worrisome. In the glass. Well, that time she really woke up, though. Cherry. Heavy cherry. Brown sugar. Floral. Now the ethanol's kind of jumping out of there. Slight grain dustiness. Okay. So it took doing the hand trick. Even though I don't smell it on my hands, it really woke up what's coming out of this glass. The cherry's the dominant. Floral cherry. Sweet floral cherry. What I would call that. Underlain with a nice brown sugar. Kind of a fan of that. On the taste. Does not drink like 100 proof. Until now, the finish, you have a slight burn to it. It was kind of a mild, slightly watery, slightly sweet first second or two. Picked up with a cherry and brown sugar. Tamped down sweetness on the brown sugar, though. It wasn't very candy sweet. It was really mild, but it's definitely a brown sugar, burnt caramel kind of a flavor with a cherry into the finish. A little bit of barrel char, actually, and a nice present oak with the ethanol. No black pepper spice. Just a nice, sweet, oaky finish. Extremely nice. Going in the nose, oh, that was all cherry vanilla that time. Then that one was all caramel with cherry. So you got cherry, sweet cherry with some sweet notes in there. A little bit of floral still. Second sip, vanilla forward. Caramel, a dark cacao chocolate, and then a cherry. Oak. A little bit oak bitter. And that's what carries out with just like every now and then a sweet cherry kind of blended into that oak. Very nice, very well done. So this is what I talk about when I start talking about prices. So here's $31.75. If you watched the last couple of last couple of videos where I'm wearing this brown shirt, right? So there's probably 10, 15 videos that Probably 10. There's probably 10 videos where I'm wearing this brown shirt. Kind of done all those back to back to back. The whiskey in those videos have ranged pretty widely in price. This is a 100 proof bourbon at $31, $32. This is something that I would reach for all day, every day. It's an extremely nice bourbon. There's a little bit of complexity to it. I'm not able to quite hit all the notes. That first part of the palate that seems a little watery, there's 2 or 3 things going on there that I'm not quite able to pick up quick enough, that I'd have to sit with this whiskey and explore it over time before I actually can pick out those exact notes out of there. So there's a little bit more nuance than actually what I'm even able to give you in my description of what is going on here. Really, really nice whiskey because of that, in my opinion. I love the nuance. I love the varied flavor profiles. I love whiskeys that change from first sip to last sip over the course of a half hour or so. This is one. Now, that time was all sweet brown sugar and corn dust in the glass. And it is going hard into that brown sugar, like sweet, syrupy brown sugar on the nose. This thing is changing up every step of the way. Yeah, that first couple of notes, I can't pick out. There's probably 2 or 3 flavors in there. Can't really start picking up because they go really, really quick all the way up till you hit that middle. So it's like it goes and then poof, you hit this wall of flavor that just goes into the middle. And from there, it really starts to slow down the flavors that come out, and you get this sweet caramel, you get this sweet brown sugar, you get this tamped down nice cherry, you get this really nice oak, you get a little bit of heat from the ethanol, you get a nice oak that carries through to the finish. It's all the nice things that bourbon has to offer is coming out of this bottle, and it's coming out with each individual sip. Loving the hell out of this thing. And for the price, I mean, again, I just got them listing off some whiskeys that are hundreds of dollars. This Remus, $103. The Ardbeg is $160. We're talking some serious coin, right? And when we get into those, you'll see, I believe those are worth every cent that I paid for them. I really like them. They're very much a special occasion whiskey for me. However, an everyday drinker, this thing is as complex as you could want from a bourbon at a price point that everybody can love. So go ahead, drop in the comments down below. Let me know, do you have any experience with Cooper's Craft 100 proof bourbon? If you do, I'd love to hear about it. I'm kind of gushing over this at the moment. Really a big fan of this, and hopefully you are too. And if you are, I'd love to hear why. And if you're not, I'd really love to hear why. Maybe you're just not a whiskey or a bourbon fan. That's cool too. Like I said, $31.75 in Billings, Montana. Please drop in the comments down below what you can find a bottle of Cooper's Craft for in your area. Again, the idea is that we can try and build up a record on each whiskey of prices by city or region, or whatever descriptor you want to put on it by state, so that people, when they travel, they have an idea as to what states might be cheaper or not, and whether or not they can find a whiskey in a given area. I think that is greatly helpful. I know I do a fair bit of traveling, especially back to the Midwest where some of my family is. And when we go back there, we can get things, because it's a lot closer to Kentucky and the rules are a lot different. We can get things there that we cannot get here, and so take advantage of that whenever we get there. So please help build up that listing of prices and regions. I greatly appreciate it, as would other people. There we go. Okay, we're struggling to get through some things this morning. Anyways, thanks again for watching. I do greatly appreciate it. I see my subscription numbers are starting to go up, so thank you very much for doing that. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to either mine's BitChute or YouTube Life and Whiskey. If you're getting good information out of this, or you just like the content, I appreciate it. Definitely don't think I'm getting rich off this or anything. I have made zero money to date. I have a retirement funds worth of whiskey sitting here that I have paid for out of my own pocket. So, you know, every little bit helps. At least try and get this out there. I'm doing this for your benefit as well as mine, just something fun to do. And I know everybody and their brother has a whiskey channel. Okay, before I close this out, I'll go on a little whatever, woe is me. So I started this channel in February of 2020. And in March of 2020 is when COVID really hit and the lockdown started and whatever else. And if you go on YouTube specifically and look at all the different whiskey review channels, you know, people were locked in the houses, had nothing else to do, and saw people doing whiskey reviews and were like, I can do that. Plenty of people had really crappy channels and whatever else, but they had social media with lots of friends, so they were able to push stuff out there. I got rid of all that stuff. I didn't do anything. So this channel is every bit of subscribership that I have on this channel has been completely organic. I have not pushed this out at all. I'm not saying that I do any better job with any of these videos by any means. You know, I'm doing this in my basement bar that I made. Nothing fancy. I don't have any fancy equipment. I know from time to time the audio quality sucks. The video quality is only so-so. I get it. I get it if people don't care about this stuff. My goal with this channel is to present honest tasting and nosing notes and prices and concepts so that you can enjoy whiskey a little bit better. And if you find that you have a palate that agrees with mine or a nose that agrees with mine, then I'm hoping that I'm providing some information for you that you can relate to either steer you towards or away from spending money on bottles that you may or may not like. That's what my hope and goal is for this channel. And if you have a bottle, I mean, go back, look at some of my videos of something cheap that you already own. Watch my review of it. See if you find the same things. If you don't, there's no worry. Taste and smell are 100% subjective. You might find things completely different than me. Not to mention flavor drift, all those other things that can interfere with that. So if you're not agreeing with what I'm finding, then maybe some other channel might provide the tasting notes that you're looking for or that match up with yours. But if you do find that you agree with what I'm coming up with, then stick with me. I got a lot of cool stuff, and I'm going to have a lot more cool stuff coming up. So once again, thanks for watching. As always, hopefully this was helpful. You guys have yourselves a great day, and we'll catch you in the next video.